So, another year has passed. As we head into 2019 for a new year, I thought it would be fun to look back at some of the biggest dumpster fires as far as comic book stories we've seen. And there was a lot of them, but I ended up narrowing it down to 10. I took to Twitter to figure out what order these should go in as far as the 1 through 10. And after running about 5 polls, I was able to come up with an order. 2018 was a very interesting year for comics. We had a lot happen, particularly the release of the Shonen Jump manga app, which I think should worry a lot of these toxic comic pros because $2 gets you a lot to read. I actually I read about 50 chapters on that thing. And, I could be pretty content with it. When you have a superior product at a cheaper price staring you in the face, it might be time to reflect on what you're doing. And they don't seem to want to do that. These comics that I'm going to show you are the industry standard now. And when you look at these, it's telling, why would anybody want to read this, which is full of propaganda and SJW stuff, when you could, just read some manga. Making the list at number 10 is Goddess Mode. I couldn't justify putting this higher, even though I did put it in the polls. It could have went much higher, but Goddess Mode only had one issue. As terrible as it was, I think it deserves to be on the list because of the hype that went behind it. However, it doesn't deserve to be any higher than number 10 because of the fact that there's only one issue. This book was a disaster. Penciled by Robbie Rodriguez, the famous brown chocolate starfish shower, who decided to post his bunghole all over social media for everybody to see, and written by everyone's favorite gatehopper, Z Quinn. The former G-Gator, she's moved her way to CG, where the attention could possibly continue and relevancy can remain. However, sales of this garbage comic I do not expect to be very good. It's a mess. The dialogue was all over the place. The story made no sense, jumped around, full of all kinds of just stupid narrative. It was a horrible comic, and I don't expect it to last. However, I expect her to last. I expect her to get another job after this is canceled. Coming in at number 9, we have The Life of Captain Marvel, the umpteenth reboot of Carol Danvers' solo book. This was a 5-issue miniseries, which is going to lead into a new number 1 once again with Carol Danvers. Helmed this time by Kelly Thompson, who is a pretty decent writer. We'll see if she'll be able to do it. I guess maybe this will be the 7th time is the charm on old Carol Danvers. Marvel has to keep pushing this. And it's really funny how this works. By the 9th or 10th issue, the sales are down to literally 4,000 or 5,000 issues shipped. I don't know if they're just going to keep pushing this character over and over again until it sells. Who knows? All I know is the books have been terrible. This read more like a Lifetime romance TV show that you would see on the Hallmark Channel. But anyway, it is what it is. Reboot number 6, coming soon. Early 2019. On to number 8. Roman Reigns herself, Ms. Marvel. Ola Sana Amanat's favorite pet project, the pajama-wearing, fist-growing girl with powers nobody wants, is also on her 4th or 5th reboot. Like her mentor, she can't seem to find an audience, and Marvel keeps pushing her out no matter what. It seems like Marvel is certainly going to go down in flames for these books, because they will push books like this over legitimate good books, like Immortal Hulk, right? I would easily put that in my top 5 for comics this year, and that gets 0 promotion. However, you'll see Miss Marvel and Carol Danvers, her mentor, everywhere. Miss Marvel, you see dolls coming out, movies based on her, talks of a Marvel MCU movie. You get special team books with her, Marvel Rising. Like, where's the demand for this character? Because I never see anybody wearing these pajama shirts. they seem to just be willing to sacrifice the company to push this trash. Number 7. No list that I make would be complete without Brian Michael Bendis' Superman and Action Comics. I put them together as one because he's writing both books. Before Bendis was coming, we had Dan Jurgens and Tomasi writing both books respectively, and they were quite good. It was a great time to be a Superman fan. You had a revitalized character who now had a family, something that had never been done before. You had bi-weekly books, which means you were getting Action Comics and Superman at least once a week. You got a Superman comic every week. If you were a fan, you were in heaven. Every issue was good, or at least fun or tolerable. None of them were bad. All of them were fun. It was a great time. And then Bendis came. First, we got Man of Steel, which started off pretty good. Started reading Man of Steel, and a lot of us had high hopes. And then he took John from us, turned the marriage into some kind of long-distance relationship that seems like it's going to head over to divorce. And John is now a young teenager, around 16 to 17 years old. He's destroyed everything we all loved about the character that got brought back in Rebirth. And he seems determined to run the character through the mud with every issue. Sales are dropping, and I hope that maybe they find a way to do away with all of his damage. Let's move on to number 6. X-Men Red, perhaps one of the most propaganda-filled books at Marvel. The entire premise of this book was about online trolling, gender pay gaps, young girls exploring their sexuality, and just lots of Russian influence. The whole premise was about sentinels that could get into your head and change your way of thinking to the left. The book is Tom Taylor's sick joke, and I was surprised that this held a strong 40,000 to 50,000 sales every month. This is one of the worst comics I've ever read, but also one of the most fun I've had reviewing. I had a good time reviewing every one of these books because they were all legitimately horrible. The main character turned into a dictator. I don't know who that Jean Grey is. The new X-Man, Trini, or whatever her name was fighting gender pay gaps and using online trolling that she had stored up over her lifetime of using her mutant power to release an energy wave that turned off sentinels in people's heads. Truly, it was an exceptional, special little comic. Number 5. Sina Grace's Iceman returns after cancellation. This was a really funny run, as we have proof if you check Comic-Con and Twitter at the time. Comic shops were sent this book for free. It actually made in the top, I think, 10 or 15 as far as Comic-Con sales went. But when you looked at the dollars earned, it was actually towards the bottom. Just about every comic shop received at least 10 or 15 free issues compared to maybe the 1 or 5 they ordered themselves. It's still rotting away on comic stands. Totally brought back for propaganda purposes and for fluffy points with shill media sites for tongue bathing. The book is terrible. Bobby is turned into a horny 13-year-old boy who spends all of his time sitting on gay dating apps. So bad that he let the Ice Queen, Emma Frost, and her brother get away with murder so that he could go have some man-butt time. This is one of the worst comics you will ever read, and if you're looking for a laugh, check it out. Don't worry, though. The sales are even horrible again by issue 4, but Sina Grace has already been given a new X-Men book. Number 4. Man-Eaters, the comic book that's about young girls from 12 to 14 who are starting menstruation for the first time, and because of this, they turn into walking cougars. The book is all about its social commentary on feminism and how the patriarchy sucks. That's pretty much it. It's on its 4th issue. The 4th issue is literally a magazine, not a comic. It's terrible. It's even getting attacked by SJWs, and the sales are already bad on it. I don't have much else to say about this one other than it's complete trash. Coming in at number 3, The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Literally one of the weirdest autistic comics ever to be drawn and written. I've only read one issue of this entire series. It's one of the first comics I ever reviewed on my channel. The video's gone now. I had to get rid of a lot of the videos on that other channel, but that's just how it ended up. However, I swore I would never read it again, and I didn't. But I've watched other people's reviews. I've seen a review by Englentine, and I've seen a review by your boy Zach. And we all have the same complaint. It's hard to get through it. There's literally bubbles all over the place. The story is slow. It's boring. The jokes are really boomerish. And for trying to appeal to kids, I just don't see it. The sales aren't there, yet they keep making it go. It seems like they're so busy trying to just get it in our faces that they don't really care about the business itself. They literally pass these books around at parties and don't worry about selling anything. So the book is terrible. I've only read one issue, but it was on the poll and you people voted for it. I can see why. It sucks. Coming in at number 2, imagine a world where only black people have superpowers. That's the theme. X-Men, but racial. It's trash. Go watch your boy's video on it. The art looks terrible. New York City literally looks like it's on a beach, and it looks like it's a bunch of TV cardboard box cutouts, and that was the city. The guy's hands are so mumbled up in one panel that it looks like he has poop powers. It's a very, truly special comic. And that's it. Let's move on to number 1. And number 1 is, of course, Border Town. Every single poll that I put out on Twitter, Border Town took whatever one I put it in. And I played it around with the listings where I put these comics to see where they would land, and Border Town was, without a doubt, the most hated comic on every poll. And I can't say I disagree. I personally would consider something like X-Men Red to maybe be a little bit worse. This comic is just pure hateful. And there's a lot more that surrounds this being number 1, right, than the comics itself. You have Ramon Villaboas, Tamara Bonvillion, and Eric Esquivel. Alone, without the scandal, 3 toxic pros. Ramon and Tamara constantly look for fake Nazis all over Twitter, call out people, and force people to call out people. And on top of that, you have Eric Esquivel, a man outed as Me Too sexual predator. He's faced a lot of controversy and will likely never work in comics again. It's been a very interesting show watching Border Town burn. The comic is canceled. We'll never see the end of the story. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of fun to see all of them take that L. I don't know, this is all allegations with Eric, but given the DMs and everything that's been found evidence-wise, I'd say it's likely that he's going to face some serious consequences on top of losing his job in comics. As far as Bonvillion and Villalobos, they have the right politics. They will probably get to stay with the industry until it burns. But anyway, that's the list. Let me know what you think. Is there something you would have liked to have seen on here? Do you disagree with the order? Give me your top 10 worst or your top 5 worst comics of 2018. I'd love to hear them. Let me know if you want me to do a best of 2018 video. I'll consider it if enough people want me to make one. Throw a like up. Check out the links in the description. Got a link to my Patreon if you want to support me. Also got a link to my Stream Me for future streams. So throw that like up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see all of you on the next one. Happy New Year.